The laugh came first. It cut through the parking garage like metal on concrete. Sharp, careless, practiced. Maya Thompson stood still beneath the flickering fluorescent light, the chill of late evening seeping through her blazer as a police officer pinched the corner of her badge between two fingers. "This is cute," he said, turning it sideways. "They give these out at conferences now." Maya didn't reach for it. Her pulse thudded behind her ears, loud enough to drown out the hum of engines above. She'd learned long ago that sudden movements invited assumptions, dangerous ones. "I asked you a question, ma'am," the officer continued, still smiling. "What exactly do you do?" The badge wasn't flashy. No seal, no gold trim. Just her name, a company logo, and the word audit printed cleanly beneath. He laughed again, louder this time, as if sharing a joke with the empty garage. Around them, a security camera blinked red. Maya felt heat crawl up her spine. Not fear recognition, the familiar tightening in her chest that came when authority decided she was a puzzle it didn't respect. "I'm allowed to park here," she said evenly. The officer's smile vanished. "That's not what I asked." He stepped closer. Too close. She caught the scent of coffee and aftershave, saw the hand resting casually near his belt. "People like you always think paperwork makes you untouchable," he murmured. That line, soft, confident, landed like a blade. Behind him, the elevator door slid open with a hollow chime. Maya glanced past his shoulder, just as his radio crackled to life with her company's name. The officer froze. The laugh came before the question, and Maya Thompson knew instantly what kind of night it would be. It wasn't loud at first, more of a breathy exhale shaped like disbelief. She stood beside her car in the underground garage, laptop bag slung over one shoulder, heels planted squarely on oil-stained concrete. The lights above flickered, casting uneven shadows across the rows of sedans and SUVs reserved for senior staff. Officer Daniel Kessler held her badge between his fingers like it amused him. "This is supposed to be official?" he asked. Maya kept her hands visible, relaxed at her sides. "Yes." He turned the badge over, then back again. "Audit," he read aloud, smiling. "That's adorable." "I need it back," she said. Kessler didn't move. He glanced at her car, then at the access gate behind them. "You park in executive spots often?" "I'm authorized to." "By who?" "My employer." He chuckled, finally handing the badge back, but not before tapping it with his knuckle. "Funny. Usually I expect something shinier." Maya slid the badge into her blazer pocket. "Is there a reason I was stopped?" Kessler leaned back on his heels. "Routine check. We've had issues." "What kind of issues?" He shrugged. "People where they don't belong." There it was. Not shouted, not crude, just precise enough to land. Maya felt a familiar tightening behind her ribs, the calculation beginning automatically. Tone, distance, exit. "I've worked here 3 years, she said. "You can confirm with security." Kessler glanced toward the empty booth at the far end of the garage. "Security already called me." "For what?" "Suspicious behavior." Maya blinked once. "Parking?" "Loitering," he corrected. "You were sitting in your car." "I was on a conference call." He smiled again, thinner this time. "Must have been important." "It was," she said. Silence stretched. Somewhere above them, an engine started, then faded. Kessler stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You know," he said, "people like you think paperwork makes you untouchable." Maya met his eyes. "People like me?" His jaw tightened. "You're very defensive. I'm being questioned without cause." He exhaled through his nose, amused. Always a script. Maya felt heat rise, but she kept her voice even. "Am I being detained?" Kessler's hand hovered near his belt. "I decide that." A red light blinked on the security camera mounted to the pillar behind him. Maya noticed it, cataloged it, anchored herself to it. "Officer," she said quietly, "I'm asking again, am I being detained?" His radio crackled. "Unit 12, a dispatcher said. Confirming. Did you say Thompson Risk Advisory?" Kessler froze. Maya watched his expression shift. Not fear, not yet, but confusion. The dispatcher continued, mispronouncing her company's name slightly, the way outsiders always did. They're scheduled for a compliance audit next week, the voice added. Corporate flagged it as high priority. Kessler glanced at Maya, then away. Copy, he muttered. She didn't smile, didn't move. The radio clicked off. Kessler cleared his throat. You're free to go, he said quickly. Maya opened her car door. I'd like your badge number. His eyes snapped back to her. Excuse me? Your badge number, she repeated, and your supervisor's name. He hesitated, then rattled them off. She memorized every syllable. As she slid into the driver's seat, her hand shook just enough to notice. She waited until the door was closed before exhaling. Behind her, Kessler stood alone under the flickering light, his earlier laughter swallowed by the echoing garage. And for the first time that night, Maya wondered how many others had stood where she had, and how many had walked away unheard. The report took less than 10 minutes to write. That, more than anything else, unsettled Maya. She sat at her kitchen table just after midnight. Laptop open, sleeves rolled up, hair loosened from its careful knot. Outside, the city hummed. Sirens in the distance, a train groaning over tracks, the anonymous life of other people moving on. She typed slowly, deliberately, choosing each word the way she'd learned to choose numbers. Precise, defensible, impossible to dismiss without effort. Time, location, officer name, conduct, no adjectives, no emotion. Still, her hands trembled. When she finished, she reread it once, then twice. It looked clean, too clean, like something already prepared to be filed away. She hit submit. An automated reply arrived immediately. Thank you for your submission. Your concern has been logged. Logged. Not addressed. Not reviewed. Logged. Maya closed the laptop and pressed her palms flat against the table. The badge laugh replayed in her head. Not loud. Not cruel enough to shock. Just casual. Comfortable. The kind of laugh that assumed no consequences. By morning, 3 emails waited in her inbox. The first was from corporate security. We reviewed your note. Based on preliminary assessment, no policy violations were identified. Please reach out if you have further concerns. No name, no signature. The second was from legal. We understand the situation may have felt uncomfortable. However, law enforcement interactions fall outside our internal grievance scope. We recommend focusing on your assigned audit deliverables. Felt uncomfortable. The third was from her direct supervisor, Evan Brooks. Can you stop by my office at 10? Evan's office was all glass and neutral colors. Designed to look open while revealing nothing. Maya arrived early, badge clipped neatly to her lapel. Evan gestured for her to sit, his tone warm in the practiced way of someone who believed himself fair. I heard about last night, he said. Maya nodded. Then you know it was a routine. Evan folded his hands. The officer said you were cooperative. That's not the issue. No, he agreed, but perception matters. Maya studied his face. He wasn't hostile. That almost made it worse. You're leading 3 sensitive audits right now, he continued. We don't want distractions. I was harassed. Evan hesitated. He laughed at your badge. Yes. He didn't detain you. No. He leaned back. Then we need to be careful how far we take this. Maya felt something tighten. Careful for who? For everyone, he said quickly. This firm has strong relationships with regulators, with municipalities. We don't want unnecessary friction. So I should ignore it. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Silence settled between them. Evan sighed. Look, Maya, you're exceptional, but this is sensitive terrain. She stood. So is my job. That afternoon, Maya pulled records she wasn't technically assigned to, public-facing complaints, archived incident summaries, internal risk notes buried 3 folders deep. She didn't need clearance to see patterns. Patterns were her language. Officer Daniel Kessler's name appeared once, then twice, then 5 times. Each entry looked the same. No sustained findings. Insufficient evidence. Officer followed procedure. Different neighborhoods. Same tone. She opened another tab. Corporate police agreements. Security contracts. Private patrol funding routed through municipal partnerships. The walls between institutions weren't walls at all. They were paper. Thin. Flexible. Easy to file through. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She let it ring. A voicemail followed. Ms. Thompson, a male voice said, careful and calm. This is Captain Reynolds with the department. Just wanted to touch base. Clear the air. Maya stared at the screen. Clear the air. She didn't call back. Instead, she documented everything. Timestamps, call logs, internal responses, the absence of response. That evening, as she locked her apartment door, she noticed a police cruiser idling across the street, not blocking traffic, not lights on, just there. Maybe coincidence. Maybe not. Her phone buzzed again. An internal message from legal. Reminder: all external communications regarding sensitive matters must be pre-approved. Maya sat on her couch, shoes still on, heart pounding. Not with fear now, but clarity. This wasn't about one officer. It was about how easily the system absorbed harm and labeled it neutral. She opened a new document. Title: Preliminary Risk Exposure, Law Enforcement Partnerships. She smiled grimly. If they wanted paper, she would give them paper. Enough to bring the walls down. Maya stopped sleeping in full stretches. She drifted instead. 2 hours here, 40 minutes there, waking with fragments of spreadsheets and voices tangled in her mind. The city outside her window felt louder at night, as if sound itself refused to rest. Sirens didn't startle her anymore. They registered like data points. By the end of the week, she had built a parallel audit no one had asked for. It began innocently enough. Public records, civil complaint summaries, settlement disclosures buried in municipal budget appendices. Maya worked before sunrise and long after the office lights dimmed, her screens glowing with columns of dates, badge numbers, zip codes. The same phrases repeated. Officer acted within discretion. No racial bias substantiated. Complaint and credibility unclear. Different cities. Different victims. Same language. She highlighted one case, then another, then linked them. A pattern emerged, not of violence, but of proximity. Officers assigned to corporate districts. Privately funded patrols. Memorandums of understanding that blurred the line between public authority and private interest. Kessler's name sat near the center of the web, not unique, but consistent. Maya leaned back, rubbing her eyes. "You're not the worst," she murmured to the empty room. "You're just enabled." Her phone buzzed. This time, it was a text from an unfamiliar contact. Unknown. "You looking into Kessler?" Her fingers hovered over the screen. "Maya, who is this?" 3 dots appeared, then vanished, then appeared again. Unknown. Someone who filed a complaint. 2 years ago. Maya's chest tightened. "Maya, how did you get my number?" A pause. Unknown. "Through someone who said you might listen." Maya typed slowly. "Maya, what happened?" The reply came fast. Unknown. "He stopped me outside a tech building. Said I didn't fit the profile. I fitted just fine once he decided what it was." Maya closed her eyes. "Maya, did anything come of it?" Another pause. Longer. Unknown. "They told me I misunderstood his tone." Maya saved the number under a neutral label. Source A. By Thursday, there were 3 sources. A black facilities manager questioned for carrying keys. A Latina compliance consultant followed through a lobby. A white contractor who'd spoken up and been quietly reassigned. None of them wanted their names attached. All of them recognized Kessler's laugh when Maya described it. "It's like he's testing you," one said over an encrypted call, "seeing how much he can take before you push back. And when you don't," Maya asked, "he pushes anyway." At work, the air around her shifted. Conversation stopped when she entered rooms. Meetings were rescheduled without explanation. Evan stopped making eye contact. Legal sent another message reminding staff of professional focus. Maya's audit deliverables were still flawless. That apparently made her more dangerous. Late one afternoon, a junior analyst named Priya lingered by Maya's desk. "I heard you're researching partnerships," Priya said carefully. Maya didn't look up. "I'm doing my job." Priya lowered her voice. "Be careful. They don't like when audits look backward." Maya met her gaze. "They should." That night, Maya compiled everything into a draft report. She stripped it of emotion, of narrative. She let the numbers speak. Complaint frequency correlated with privately funded patrol zones. Dismissal rates spiked when corporate interests overlapped. Officer reassignment followed exposure, not accountability. It was clean, cold, indicting. She saved the file under a bland title and backed up twice. Her phone rang at 9:47 p.m. This time, she answered. "Miss Thompson," Captain Reynolds said, voice smooth. "Just checking in. You didn't return my call." "I didn't need to," Maya replied. A pause. "You seem very busy." "I am. With things that might be misunderstood." Maya smiled without humor. "That depends on who's reading." Another pause. Less comfortable now. "Officer Kessler felt your interaction was adversarial," Reynolds said. "He worries this could escalate." "Escalate how?" "Miscommunication can lead to consequences," Reynolds said, "for everyone involved." Maya leaned against the counter, steadying herself. "Is this a warning?" "It's advice." She exhaled slowly. "Then here's some advice in return. You should read the complaint you closed." Silence. When the call ended, Maya's hand shook, not with fear, but with something sharper. Resolve. She looked at the draft report again, then at a separate folder she'd labeled regulatory oversight. Tomorrow, she would request a routine compliance review. Nothing dramatic, nothing accusatory, just paper. And this time, the silence wouldn't protect them. The knock came at 7:12 a.m. Not loud, not urgent. 3 measured taps. Polite enough to suggest procedure, firm enough to carry weight. Maya stood in her kitchen, coffee cooling untouched beside her laptop. The glow of spreadsheets still reflected in the darkened window. She didn't have to look through the peephole to know. Still, she did. Officer Kessler stood in the hallway, hat tucked under his arm, posture relaxed in a way that felt rehearsed. Another officer lingered near the stairwell, pretending to study his phone. Maya opened the door, but didn't step aside. "Ms. Thompson," Kessler said, smiling like they were old acquaintances. "Just doing a community follow-up." "About what?" "You filed a complaint," he said lightly. "We like to close the loop." "I didn't request a visit." He glanced past her into the apartment. "Mind if we talk inside?" "Yes," Maya said. "I do mind." The smile tightened. "All right. Hallway's fine." The second officer looked up, suddenly interested. Kessler lowered his voice. "There's concern you're misinterpreting routine interactions." "There's concern," Maya replied evenly, "that you're creating them." For a flicker of a second, irritation slipped through his expression. Then it vanished. "Careful," he said softly. "That tone could be misunderstood." Maya felt the familiar heat rise, but she held her ground. "You're done here." Kessler studied her, eyes calculating. "We just want to make sure you feel safe." "I did," she said, "before you arrived." He straightened. "Have a good day, ma'am." They left without another word. Maya closed the door slowly, locking it twice. Her phone buzzed before she reached the kitchen. "Legal, please come by this morning. Urgent." The conference room was already full when she arrived. Evan sat at the head of the table, flanked by legal counsel Marissa Klein, and a man Maya didn't recognize, mid-50s, suit too expensive for internal staff. "This is Thomas Hale," Evan said, "external advisor." Hale smiled thinly. "Risk mitigation." Maya took a seat. "About what?" Marissa folded her hands. "Your independent research." "It's not independent," Maya said. "It's within scope." Hale leaned forward. "You've accessed sensitive historical data without authorization, all publicly available, but framed in a way that implies misconduct," Marissa added. "That exposes us." Maya's jaw tightened. "To what?" Accountability? Evan raised a hand. Maya, no, she said quietly. You brought me in because I see what others miss. You don't get to punish me for it. Hale's smile didn't waver. We're not punishing. We're protecting. Ooh. A pause. Marissa spoke carefully. We're asking you to pause this line of inquiry. Maya stared at them. Asking. Yes, Evan said quickly. For now. She stood, then put it in writing. The room went still. That afternoon, her building access card failed twice before unlocking. Her inbox filled with calendar cancellations. Projects reassigned. Meetings postponed, pending review. By evening, the message was clear. Slow down. Instead, Maya accelerated. She sent a formal notice to the federal oversight body. Routine language, neutral tone, requesting clarification on compliance standards related to law enforcement partnerships. Within an hour, she received a reply. Request received. Review scheduled. She sat back, heart pounding, not triumph, not relief, just inevitability. That night, an envelope slid under her door. No return address. Inside, a single printed photo. Grainy, taken from across the street. Maya, leaving her building, her breath caught. On the back, someone had written, neatly, "You don't want this attention." Maya sank onto the couch, the photo trembling in her hand. Fear finally arrived. Not loud, not paralyzing. Heavy, settling. She thought of the sources who trusted her, of the complaints buried in archives, of Kessler's laugh. She opened her laptop and uploaded the photo into her evidence folder. Then she added a note. Escalation attempt. Nonverbal intimidation. Her phone rang. It was Evan. Maya, he said, voice strained. You need to step back. Why? She asked. Because this is getting dangerous. For who? For you, he said quietly. She closed her eyes. I know. When the call ended, Maya sat alone in the dim light. Fear and resolve tangled together. Knowing had a cost. But not knowing, accepting the silence, that cost far more. She opened a report and added one final section. Risk, retaliation. Likelihood, high. Then she hit save. The conference room on the 9th floor had no windows. Maya noticed at first the way the air felt sealed, recycled, controlled. A long table. 8 chairs. A pitcher of water untouched at the center. On the wall, a muted screen waited for a presentation. No one had labeled urgent out loud. 3 people from the federal oversight team arrived precisely at 10. They introduced themselves with careful neutrality. First names only, badges clipped where they could be seen, but not stared at. Maya recognized the posture immediately. Investigators who understood power preferred subtlety. Ms. Thompson, the lead reviewer, said, taking a seat. This is a routine compliance clarification. Of course, Maya replied. She connected her laptop. The first slide was boring on purpose. Overview of municipal corporate security interfaces. No accusations. No names. Just structure. She walked them through contracts, memorandums, funding flows, how private money softened public accountability, without ever stating it outright. Heads nodded. Pens moved. Then she shifted. Now, Maya said, I'd like to show you impact frequency. A heat map bloomed on the screen. Dots clustered around business districts. The same zones. The same time frames. Complaint dismissal rates spike in these areas, she continued. Not because incidents decrease, but because jurisdictional ambiguity increases. One of the reviewers leaned forward. You're saying responsibility dissolves. I'm saying it's reassigned, Maya replied. Quietly. She clicked again. Officer identifiers appeared. Endomized at first. Patterns. Overlaps. Then, deliberately, she removed the filter. The room changed. No one gasped. No one spoke. The silence was heavier than reaction. This officer, Maya said, keeping her voice steady, has never been disciplined. Not once. Despite a complaint density statistically outside normal variance. The lead reviewer folded his hands. And your interaction? Fits the pattern, Maya said. Mockery, boundary testing, escalation when challenged. She didn't mention the photo. Not yet. They asked questions, precise ones. How she'd sourced the data, what safeguards she'd used, who else had access. Maya answered calmly. Truthfully, when the meeting ended, the lead reviewer stood. We'll be expanding the scope, he said. Quietly. Maya nodded. That's all I asked. By the time she returned to her office, legal was waiting. Marissa didn't sit this time. She paced. You went outside us. Marissa said. I followed protocol. You exposed us. I documented risk. Marissa's voice sharpened. Do you understand what you've done? Yes, Maya said. I made it impossible to ignore. Evan hovered near the door, pale. They're asking for records, he said. Everything. Good, Maya replied. The next 48 hours blurred. Requests poured in. Emails marked confidential. Calls rerouted through compliance channels. Calendar blocks appearing without explanation. Internal audits were frozen. External ones multiplied. And then the media sniffed something. Not headlines. Not yet. Just inquiries. Soft questions framed as curiosity. Can you confirm an expanded federal review? Are there concerns about private security arrangements? Corporate comms drafted statements. Neutral. Reassuring. Empty. Meanwhile, Officer Kessler's name vanished from public patrol logs. Reassigned, someone whispered. That night, Maya returned home to find her building's front desk unusually alert. Everything okay? The concierge asked. Yes, Maya said. Why? Police were here earlier, asking questions. Her stomach dropped. About what? Didn't say. Upstairs, Maya found her door intact. No envelope this time. No note. Just silence. Her phone buzzed as she set her bag down. Source, they called me. Maya typed back immediately. Maya, who? Source, Internal Affairs. They want a statement. Another message followed, from a different contact. Source B, me too. Maya sat on the edge of her bed, breath shallow. The silence was breaking, but not cleanly. It cracked unevenly, threatening everyone who lived inside it. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Ms. Thompson, Captain Reynolds said, voice strained now, stripped of ease. We need to talk. About what? Maya asked. About de-escalation. Maya smiled faintly. You had your chance. A pause. This doesn't have to ruin careers, he said. It already has, Maya replied. You just didn't notice whose. When the call ended, Maya stared at the wall, pulse steady despite everything. Exposure wasn't loud. It wasn't immediate justice. It was pressure, and pressure, applied long enough, broke even the most protected structures. She opened her laptop one more time and added a final note to the case file. Status, active federal review. Phase, public accountability pending. For the first time since the garage, she allowed herself a breath. The laugh was gone. What came next would be louder. The first headline didn't name names. It didn't have to. Federal review expands into corporate. Police partnerships ran quietly beneath the fold of a business section, written in the cautious language of access journalism. No accusations. No villains. Just questions, reviews, and ongoing cooperation. By noon, everyone knew what it meant. At the office, Maya moved through hallways that had suddenly become polite. Too polite. Doors opened faster. People smiled longer. The same executives who had urged restraint now spoke in careful hypotheticals, as if the past month could be reframed as foresight instead of resistance. Evan stopped her near the elevators. They're asking for you, he said. Who? Everyone. The oversight team had taken over a corner conference room, boxes stacked neatly along the wall. Files moved in and out with methodical calm. The lead reviewer greeted Maya with a nod, no warmth, but respect. We've identified systemic gaps, he said, including retaliatory behaviors. Maya's throat tightened. Toward whom? Toward complainants. Toward you. He slid a document across the table. A timeline. Her complaint. The hallway visit. The photo. This, he said, tapping the page, was a mistake. Maya nodded. It usually is. Across town, Officer Daniel Kessler sat in a different room. Smaller, windowless, fluorescent lit. Internal Affairs asked him questions he'd never been asked before. Why did his reports mirror each other so closely? Why were stops clustered around privately funded patrol zones? Why did he visit a complainant's residence without request? Kessler answered with confidence at first, then irritation, then silence. I followed procedure, he said, again and again. Whose procedure? An investigator asked. By the third day, his union rep stopped smiling. The second headline did name names. Officer reassigned amid broader inquiry appeared on every local feed. His photo, carefully selected neutral, circulated with captions stripped of context. The comment sections filled in the blanks anyway. At Maya's apartment, the cruiser across the street was gone. So was the quiet. Her phone rang constantly now. Journalists, advocates, anonymous numbers that didn't leave messages. She declined interviews. Not yet. She wasn't the story. She was the evidence. One evening, as dusk settled, Maya met Sorsay at a cafe halfway across town. Neutral ground. Public. Loud enough to blur edges. You okay? Maya asked. Sorsay laughed softly. I keep waiting for the other shoe. It might drop, Maya said honestly, but it won't be just on you. They sat in silence, the weight of that settling between them. The third headline broke the stalemate. Emails revealed pressure to close complaints. Someone had leaked. Maya didn't ask who. This time, the response was swift. The department announced an external review. The city council scheduled an emergency session. Corporate partners issued statements about share values and learning opportunities. Kessler was placed on administrative leave. When a news alert buzzed on Maya's phone, she felt no joy, no triumph, just a slow, grounding exhale. Later that night, Captain Reynolds called again. His voice was different now. Flat, tired. They're asking about you, he said. Your role. Maya leaned against the kitchen counter. Answer honestly. They want to know why you weren't stopped sooner. Maya closed her eyes. Because silence is efficient. Another pause. I should have shut him down, Reynolds said quietly. Early. Yes, Maya replied. You should have. The call ended without ceremony. The next morning, Maya arrived at work to find her badge temporarily deactivated. Not revoked, just paused. A procedural hold. Legal said. Routine. Maya laughed once, short, sharp. Of course. She handed over her laptop without protest, signed the receipt, and walked out into daylight she hadn't planned for. At home, she opened the blinds and let the sun fill the room. For the first time in weeks, there was nothing to do, nowhere to push. Her phone buzzed again. Source B. They sustained my complaint. Maya stared at the message, heart thudding. Maya, I'm glad. A second message followed. Source B. Thank you for not backing down. Maya set the phone aside and sat on the floor, back against the couch. The cost pressing on her. Sleep lost, trust fractured, safety shaken. Authority didn't collapse all at once. It cracked, shifted, exposed it seems. And in those fractures, people began to speak. Maya knew the hardest part was still coming. Public accountability demanded faces, hearings, testimony, truth spoken out loud. She closed her eyes, steadying herself. The laugh was gone. Now, the room was listening. The hearing room smelled like old carpet and fresh paper. Maya noticed that as she took her seat at the long table, microphone angled toward her, a name placard placed with careful neutrality, M. Thompson, Compliance Auditor. Across the aisle, rows of folding chairs filled with observers. Union representatives, city staffers, a few journalists who pretended not to watch too closely. At the front, a raised dais held the panel. 5 members, different backgrounds. Same posture, attentive, guarded. Officer Daniel Kessler sat to her left, 2 seats away. He wore a suit that didn't quite fit his shoulders, hands clasped so tightly his knuckles blanched. No smile today. No laugh. We looked at Maya. It was brief, measuring, resentful, uncertain. The chair called the hearing to order. "Ms. Thompson," she said, voice amplified and formal, "you're here as a witness." "Yes," Maya replied. "Please describe the incident." Maya inhaled slowly. She didn't rush. She didn't dramatize. She told it as she had documented it. Sequence, words, proximity, the laugh, the badge, the step forward, the line that had landed like a blade. People like you always think paperwork makes you untouchable. The room stilled at that, not because it was shocking, but because it was familiar. "Why did you ask for his badge number?" one panelist asked. "Because he wanted me to feel small," Maya said evenly. "I needed him to remember he was accountable." Kessler shifted in his chair. Another panelist leaned forward. "Did you feel unsafe?" Maya paused. "I felt evaluated," she said, "as something other than a citizen." Murmurs rippled through the room. They asked about the follow-up visit to her home, about the photo, about the internal responses she received. Each answer tightened the thread, drawing disparate moments into a single line. When she finished, the chair nodded. "Thank you." Kessler's attorney rose. "Officer Kessler maintains that his conduct was professional." The chair turned to Kessler. "You may speak." He stood slowly, smoothing his jacket. For a moment, Maya almost felt sorry for him. Almost. "I did my job," Kessler said. "I treat everyone the same." A panelist raised an eyebrow. "The same how?" Kessler hesitated. "By procedure." "Procedure written where?" another asked. Kessler glanced at his attorney. "In our training." "Training provided by whom?" "The department." "And funded in part by?" the panelist pressed. Silence. Kessler cleared his throat. "Private partnerships." Maya felt it then. The shift, not dramatic, subtle. The moment where confidence slid into exposure. The chair leaned back. "Officer, did you visit Miss Thompson's residence?" Kessler's jaw tightened. "Yes." "Why?" "To reassure her." "Did she request that?" "No." "Did you document the visit?" "No." A murmur, louder this time. "And the complaints?" Another panelist asked. "The pattern?" Kessler's voice sharpened. "Those were resolved." "Resolved," the panelist echoed, "or closed?" Kessler opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I followed direction," he said finally. "From whom?" The room went quiet. Kessler looked at the floor, then up, then, for the first time, directly at Maya. "From supervisors who said it was better not to escalate," he said. "That some people misunderstand tone, that it wasn't worth paperwork." The union rep shifted, alarmed. The chair's voice was steady. "So you exercise discretion?" "Yes." "Selective discretion?" Kessler swallowed. "I did what I was told." Maya felt something loosen in her chest. Not relief, not vindication. Gravity. The truth, spoken aloud, had weight. The panel recessed briefly. When they returned, the chair spoke without ceremony. "Officer Kessler," she said, "this panel finds sustained violations of conduct, failure to document, and retaliatory behavior." Kessler's face drained of color. "Further," she continued, "this matter will be referred for criminal review regarding intimidation." A sharp intake of breath from the gallery. Kessler sat down heavily. Maya remained still. As the room emptied, a reporter approached her. "Ms. Thompson, do you feel justice was served?" Maya considered the question. "I feel truth was acknowledged," she said. "Justice takes longer." Outside, the sky had shifted to late afternoon gold. Maya stood on the courthouse steps, sunlight warming her face, exhaustion settling into her bones. She hadn't won. She had endured. Her phone buzzed once more. Source A. They apologized. Officially. Maya closed her eyes. Inside the building, careers recalibrated. Policies rewrote themselves. Consequences rippled outward, uneven and incomplete. But the silence, the protective, suffocating silence, had finally cracked. Maya turned and walked away, knowing the final cost would come later. And so with the healing. The city felt different when it stopped watching her. Not kinder, not safer, just quieter in a way that let Maya hear herself think again. Weeks passed. The hearing transcripts circulated. Policies updated in careful, incremental language. Shall, must, reviewed quarterly. Officer Kessler's name appeared once more in print, then reseated behind phrases like pending determination and administrative outcome. The system didn't implode. It adjusted, slowly, reluctantly, publicly enough to matter. Maya returned to work on a Monday that felt like a dare. Her access card worked. Her office looked untouched. A new plaque on the wall listed Independent Oversight Liaison under her name. No one asked her how she felt. They asked what she needed. She answered honestly. Time, and fewer euphemisms. Evan stopped by mid-morning. He looked older, or maybe just less buffered. I should have backed you sooner, he said. Yes, Maya replied. You should have. He nodded, accepting the sentence as both fact and consequence. I'm glad you stayed. So am I, she said, surprised to hear it was true. Outside the firm, changes arrived unevenly. The city council passed an ordinance tightening reporting requirements for joint patrols. The department announced new training modules, consultant hired, slides redesigned. Some officers grumbled. Others listened. A few apologized without being asked. Maya didn't measure success by apologies. She measured it by the emails she received at night, short messages from people who had watched the hearing and recognized something of themselves. I thought I was imagining it. Thank you for saying it out loud. I filed a complaint today. The first time she slept through the night again, she woke before dawn and sat on the edge of her bed, listening to the hum of the building. No footsteps outside her door. No envelopes. No waiting. The photo from the hallway visit stayed in her evidence folder, flagged and archived. It would remain there, a record of the cost of pressure applied upward. One evening, Maya met Sorsay again, this time without choosing the loudest cafe. They sustained mine too, Sorsay said, stirring their drink. Not fully, but enough. Enough is something, Maya said. They smiled. It is. On a quiet Friday, Maya stood in the same garage where it had begun. The lights no longer flickered. A new sign listed reporting procedures and oversight contacts in clean font. She parked, stepped out, and paused, not because she was afraid, but because memory lingered. The echo of a laugh had power once. It didn't anymore. Her phone buzzed with a message from the oversight team. Final determinations issued. Thank you for your cooperation. Maya didn't reply. She didn't need to. That night, she opened a fresh document, not a report, not an audit, a personal record. She wrote about tone and silence, about how institutions speak softly when they want you to doubt yourself, about the difference between being seen and being believed. She wrote about fear, how it doesn't vanish when justice arrives. It reorganizes. It asks to be acknowledged, not erased. When she finished, she saved the file and closed a laptop. Outside, the city breathed. Somewhere, another interaction would happen. Another test, another laugh, another line drawn too close. The system hadn't been cured, but it had been warned. Maya stood by the window, watching headlights thread through streets she knew well. She felt the weight of what remained. Vigilance, care, the long work of staying present without hardening. Poetic justice wasn't a fall from grace. It was a recalibration of power, of attention, of who was believed when the room went quiet. Maya turned off the light and let the dark settle, steady and unafraid. The echo had faded. What remained was her voice, measured, documented, impossible to laugh away.